Well, today is a celebration. I'm here with Peggy Liptrott, the lady that headed up the creation of Polka Dot Door way back in 1971.
Right.
So that is, my goodness, 71 to 81, 91, 2001. That is a good 40,
Years ago.
40 some odd years ago.
Right.
And what are we doing today, Peggy?
We're screening two old programs from the 70s, 1971. So we'll see. Now, unfortunately, the man's going to come to rake the leaves on the lawn, and he has a blower.
Oh, so
You
he's
wanna
going to make a
stop
lot
that?
of noise.
Yes, he is.
Well, we can see how far we can get. This might be okay. But if we
Alright.
need to stop, that's fine too.
Alright.
And unfortunately, we can't show you guys out there what we're seeing because of copyright reasons. But I think as we go along, we'll have some discussion and we'll see what things come to your memory. So
Okay.
here we go. This is Clocks from 1971.
And Clocks was the theme for the whole week. And so this is one of the days called Finding Out Day.
Very cool.
It was a different day. It was a different. Sorry, I have to sign up. You want me to start over again?
No, we're fine. And that theme and the artwork, I don't know if you know this, but that was used right into the 90s, right from the
Right,
71
yes.
to the 90s. And Dick Durhodge designed this.
That's right. Yes.
He's actually showed me the original
Original?
screen
Right. That was right
board
for
of that.
him.
Alright, let's turn him over. And we have 4 more
Yeah.
to go. Hello. You know what this is? This is called an egg timer.
So that's
all you
Alex
have to do
Laurier?
That's right.
is take your little egg and put it in a saucepan. And as soon as you've done that, you turn this around and you wait. And as soon as the sand has gone through from one side to the other, your egg is cooked.
So when you
Not too
see
hard,
this
not too
set,
soft,
do you
but
remember
just
things
right.
about it?
And Nina?
Sort of, but not really.
Well,
You
we've
know.
got 4 more, plus yours, that's 5 altogether. If I was to turn this
That is a
one
one young Nina Keogh.
Right.
And that was to turn this
I
one
have
She
no
looks like
idea.
she's a teenager.
Right.
to turn this one over. And when that was through, to turn this funny looking egg timer over. Well, by the time this one was all finished running through, we would have run out of time.
Oh yes, but we're not out of time yet.
No, just reach the start.
But this is an experiment, or finding out. So I guess you could call it Finding Out Day. And I was wondering, do you think we could find our mouse? Remember our mouse? I wonder where he is. Is he around somewhere? Ah, yes, there he is. Do you remember our nursery rhyme about that mouse? I'll tell you what. This time, I'll just whistle it, okay? And you sing it. Sing it by yourself, all right? I'll just whistle the melody. Here we go.
Oh, up goes the mouse. Storytime mouse. Everything looks much different from how I remember it in the 80s, but the characters are the same. They got the Humpty and Dumpty and Marigold and Bear.
We're all going just right today. Now, let's do it again, only this time, you pretend with your little fingers going up and down your arm that you're the mouse, all right? And I'm still not going to say the words for it. You do it. I'm just going to mouth them very, very quietly. All right? 1, 2, 3.
So obviously all these clocks were brought in for the clock theme.
That's right. Yes.
Did you do it?
Now, I'm not sure if they were there
Did you
all
do it?
through the week.
Right.
They could have been.
Well, now what do we do?
Usually that's what happened, at least in the later episodes. The theme was held throughout the whole
That's
week.
right. Yes.
Inside of a clock.
That's a good idea. That's a very good idea.
I
All
think
right.
that was so smart of him. You do the singing, and he didn't
Is that
help
the
them
one or
Right.
the-
You know,
this
so
one?
that's
let's try this
because they
one.
were used to the little mouse.
Right.
Yes, that's fine. Let's open this up and see what goes on inside it. If I can. Okay. There we are.
Taking the back off.
Now this clock actually is ticking. I can hear it tick. Can you hear it tick? Now, if you look inside it very carefully, you'll
What are some
see
of the principles
anywhere
that
my
you were
fingers
trying to
pointing,
incorporate when you did
Well,
this series?
The main
there is
principle
a
was
spring.
your host and hostess do not talk down to children.
And
Right.
when that spring is
And
tightened up
there's a rhythm.
and you let it go,
If you
it will turn
are
this
aware of
wheel,
it, that
which is
there are songs and there's
joined to
stories
this
and there's
wheel,
some busy
and
times
joined to
and some
another
quiet
wheel.
times.
Mhm.
and all
And
these
that's
wheels
important for
turn
preschoolers.
Right.
the insides of that clock so that the hands of the clock move.
It's funny to think, this would be 71, so Sesame Street had already been out 2 years, and it was
That's
quite
right.
busy. This was a
That's right.
contrast to it. It was much
To
more calm.
wind it up for you. There you are. Okay, so wind it up. And when you wind the clock up, you find the spring getting tighter and tighter.
Now this
Now
is
you
a
can't
bit
see it. It
dated
used to be
because you don't
outside,
have wind-up
outside of
clocks
the
anymore.
and now it's so tight.
Unless
I
they're
have one.
antiques.
Bit by bit
I
it
still have
loosens
one.
up. And as soon as it loosens out, it's all those wheels going in motion. And so one thing leads to another, which leads to another. That sounds like a game to me.
It is, and I think we should all pretend that we are the insides of a clock. Not the outsides, not just the hands, but the insides of a clock. With everything moving at once, okay? So I'm going to sing a song, and we'll start off by moving, say, one finger and one arm.
No
How's that?
mistaking
Okay?
that's Nina.
One finger and one arm, keep moving. One finger, one arm, keep moving. One finger, one arm, keep moving. We'll have a happy time. Now, why don't we use a leg?
Now, how
As
old
well
would
as
you
our
think that
finger
Nina would be in
and
these
our
early
arm, okay?
episodes?
One finger, one
Early
arm,
20s,
one
right?
leg, keep
When it's already,
moving.
maybe just late teens, I'm
Mhm.
not sure. She may remember.
One finger, one arm, one leg, keep moving. We'll have a happy time. It's getting hard. Go
The
over
pianist,
your head.
Herbie Helbig, was his
Right,
name.
right,
Our
right.
finger,
That was his
our
name.
It was
arm,
Herbie.
our leg, and our head. Okay, here we go. One finger, one arm, one leg, one head, keep moving. One finger, one arm, one leg, one head, keep
And she looks as if she's having a good time, which was important. She's not just doing a performance,
Right.
which is a real talent.
I'm all tired,
Mhm.
and I'm also ready for a story, and Alex is going to tell it to us.
Well, our story time clock shows the long minute hand pointing straight up, and that means it's something o'clock. And our short hour.
Now, that's
hand
interesting. They
pointing to
got
10.
bright lights on the
10 o'clock.
hands of the clock.
Right.
At our
Very
mobile,
colorful set.
We have a very nice picture of an old building, an old city hall, and a clock, and a new city hall. And our story
It's
today
Toronto's new city hall.
That's
is
right.
about that old
This is one of my
city
favorite
hall
stories. It's
clock
very cute.
tower.
Do you remember this particular
Now,
story?
maybe
Yes,
some
I do.
People
Right.
recognize that city hall. Well, it is
Now,
in
all
a
the-
large Canadian city called Toronto.
All the
And
illustrations are Dick too, I
in this
think. Here.
particular
Oh,
city
really?
hall, there is a
I'm not
very
sure. He had other people
nice
working with him too, but
old clock, you see.
So he would have.
And
You're
in the
saying he
city hall,
would have
there
done
were
these
the people who
illustrations as
ran
well.
he might have. Yes.
Right.
The government of the city, people
Depending
like
how
the
busy he
mayor
is.
and the council and the alderman
If you
and
notice,
the chairman and the
there's
trustees and
still
all sorts of
photographs.
people.
Yeah.
And I
Now,
always
this
think
city
for
hall we're talking
preschoolers,
about opened in the year
it's
1899.
important to have still
It's about as
pictures
old as your
Mhm.
great-grandmother.
because then you don't have the
The city
constant
hall was
movement
a
all the
lovely
time,
old building
and they can
made of
concentrate
red
on the
sandstone
story
from the Credit
and
River.
on the pictures.
Right.
It looks old-fashioned now, but when it was opened,
It kind of helps
was
them
the
use their
finest building in
imagination.
the city,
Sure.
and everyone liked it especially for its big clock tower.
Well, they need
The
time
clock
to
had three
absorb
huge
what they're
bells
seeing
so
and
that
what
you
they're
could
hearing.
hear
Right.
it striking the
And
hour,
if you have the
the
picture
half
moving
hour,
all the
and
time,
quarter hour,
then
all
I
over
don't
the
think they
city.
can do that.
No.
Of course, Toronto was a much quieter city in those days long ago, when people rode around in horses and carriages rather than in cars and buses and subways. And this old city hall clock was very proud, because it stood so big and tall, and every day hundreds of people used to look up at it. to find
So
out
where
the
would you
time.
typically be when an episode
It
was
was
being
also a very
recorded?
dependable
Were you
clock.
behind the set watching as
No,
they
it
these
said
performed?
these were all live.
Yeah.
You could
So,
be sure it was
no, I was
exactly
in the
that
control
fast.
room.
In the control room.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
Now one day, just a few
And in
years
the
ago,
control room you had
the city fathers
their
decided to
bank
build a
of
new city hall.
video screens.
Now this was
And,
very sad news for the old City
You had
Hall
a video
clock.
screen for each
After all,
camera.
he didn't like the idea of being
And
replaced by a new young clock.
ahead
who
of time
probably
we
wouldn't
decided
know his left hand
what
from his
camera was
right.
going to take what shot. So
Right.
the scripters would make out camera lists, and so each camera knew what their next shot was going to be because they were all numbered.
Right.
And you had that, and she had a copy of that, and then the
Before
director
long,
had
the
a copy
workmen
of that.
arrived and
So
started digging a
you
huge
knew-
hole in the ground.
because
for
in
the
those
new building.
days
The
we
old
didn't have
clock
zoom
had a perfect
lenses.
view of
Oh,
the
really?
ground.
no,
And he used to
maybe
tick
in the
and
70s we
talk,
started to
worry
have them, but
and watch, and tick and talk and worry and watch, thinking all
But
the time that
sometimes you
nobody
had
would
to
look
give
up
them
at him
time to
anymore
rack over to
once the new City Hall clock tower
a
was
different
built.
lens, because you had your 2,
As
3,
the
5,
new
and
City
8 inch
Hall
lenses,
started
and
to
2 and
rise
3 were your
out of the
wide
ground,
angle, and
the
5 and
old
8 were your
clock
close
could
ups.
see that
Wow.
it was going to be a
But
most
now I
unusual
think
shape
I'm
for a building.
incorrect, because we're in the 70s
It
now,
was
and
just like
we,
Have some zooming going on.
well, I'm not sure whether it's
A little bit of zooming.
Right, yes.
flowers and sundial and the winter skating rink. And though he worried and watched as hard as he could, the old City Hall
Now this is really fascinating because they're actually showing the rebuilding, the building of the newer
That's right.
City
Yes,
Hall, which
yes.
to me is now the old City Hall in Toronto.
The new City Hall was finished, and the city fathers and all the other people who moved into the new building. Everyone began to
So
wonder
you would
what
be in
to
the
do with
control
old
room,
City
and
Hall
would
and the
you
clock
be calling any shots in
Many
Oh,
terms
sure,
of
all the
yeah.
time,
Say,
sure, right.
I think we should just tear down that old City Hall. We have a nice new City Hall now.
I'd be
Why do
saying
we
now
need to
zoom
keep
in
the
and
old
zoom
one?
out, or,
Right.
or
The poor old
dolly in
clock
and dolly out.
hear this and feel sadder and sadder and more unwanted.
And then camera 2 be ready to
Worry all day.
take a
They're
close-up
going
of
to
the
take
tower.
my job away.
So you got to really be on your toes in terms of knowing the
completely.
script, and
Oh, sure, right.
And
It's
time is
right in
m-
front of you.
time is money, so you're wanting to get it right the first time.
Well, you had to, because it
So
was
every
all
time
live.
some of these city
Right.
fathers
Now,
would say,
I'm not sure in the
"Now is the
70s
time to
whether
get
we
rid of
were,
that old City Hall. Tear it down. Tear it down."
maybe we were
Someone else would say, "No,
recording them,
we must
but
save
it was
the big
live
tower
to
with
the
dependable clock on it. After all,
recording,
there
you
is
know,
no clock on the outside
you
of the
didn't
new City
stop and
Hall.
start again,
What would we do without that old clock?"
and you didn't edit in the edit suite.
And so
Right.
the argument went
It went-
on and on.
It was called
And the
live
old
to
clock
tape.
soon learned not
Mm.
to pay any attention to the arguments. He just stood up there proudly and told the time to all the thousands of people who came to admire the new City Hall. So if you ever go to see that new City Hall in Toronto,
Would you ever catch these when they were on the air, ones that you had produced, or were they often airing when you were busy at work or doing other things?
Well, no, because we recorded all of these. We recorded the first 30 programs, and so I was able to watch them in the fall.
Right.
It's a story that's often been told.
And these would have been recorded during the summertime.
Yes.
Never grow old. Do you know of any old buildings or new buildings where you
It's an
live?
interesting outfit he has on, an
old church,
orange
perhaps?
orange shirt with a green
Right.
neck, and he's
Right.
got striped
Well,
brown.
don't be frightened.
Right. Well, he picks up
Next
the
time
color.
you go out
pants,
or
yeah.
driving, why don't you see if you can find some of these buildings? Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I definitely notice is just the colors are a
Now,
lot
this is
different.
so
And it's
simple.
all about
This is probably Dick
house.
too.
And now I have a house here with all the different rooms that you have in your house, but these clocks look to me as though they're in the wrong rooms. What do you think? Well, here's the children's bedroom, and this is a mantle clock, and I don't think a mantle clock belongs in a children's bedroom. And the bathroom, well, you don't often see a clock in the bathroom. And here's another bedroom, and that looks like a hen clock or
It's very simple too, just drawn, and
That's right.
And the kitchen.
so this is
Oh, well, we all
figure
know
out where the clock
that
belongs.
grandfather
Oh, this
clock
is a
doesn't
puzzle.
belong
Yeah.
on the top of the stove, because we don't want our grandfather clock to get cooked. And in the living room, well, somehow this clock doesn't look right because it's sitting right up in the air. It's not sitting on anything. So let's try and change them around the way they should be. Now, can you give me any ideas about where the mantle clock might go? No, it's not going to sit on the bathtub. Let's see. Oh, that's a good idea. I think you're right. I think that it belongs in the bedroom.
Looks like somebody's
See, it
behind there.
fits.
No, it's just a
Piece of Velcro.
It does. It sits right
Yeah.
on the bureau. And that's where the mantle clock goes. Now what about this clock in the living room? It's just sitting right out in the middle of
And
nowhere.
she's giving
I
them
think it
time
should
to
be
think
sitting
about
on
where that
something,
should
don't
go.
you?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
She's not doing it in a rush.
Right.
Does that look like a kitchen clock to you?
It's very at a very
So
relaxed
let's take
pace.
the
That's
grandfather
right.
clock off, and we'll see if this. Now that looks better, doesn't it? The kitchen clock up on the wall, over the stove, so we know when our baking is.
Well, as we watch this, I'm going to send Nina a text and tell her that we're watching her in 1971.
Right.
I'm sure she'll get a kick out of that.
An alarm clock, so maybe I should put it in the children's bedroom, so when it rings in the morning, they know when to get up. And we have one left, and that's our grandfather clock. And there's only one place left to put it, and that is in the living room. Right there, beside the couch. And everybody can see what time it is. Alex, why don't you come and play the guitar for me, and I'll sing
Ready,
our
go.
song about clocks.
All right.
Okay? Just look around and you will find lots of native clocks of every kind.
Now this is probably
Fast and slow, you hear the sound as the
composed by Pat Patterson.
Okay.
round.
And would Dodie Robb had a role in these early episodes too?
She wrote the story.
Okay, so she wrote the script for this.
Right. They both collaborated in the scripts for each show, and then they had specific things. Dodie usually did the story, and Pat always did the music, and sometimes Dodie helped her with the lyrics, or Pat did both.
Interesting. So really, the series was developed with a host of people.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right, yes.
Big team effort.
That's right.
Would you take
Very
the
much
guitar
so.
away from me? 'Cause I have something I want to show you.
And we were talking about Marnie Patrick Roberts earlier as well. She was an educational consultant.
That's right.
So how would she contribute to what we're seeing here?
Well, she made sure that
Want to come over?
everything was educationally sound, as did Ted Coney Bear,
Right.
and would contribute. And they sort of read the scripts before we got into production too,
Right.
so that everything was.
It looks like an earring. And it's kind of large for an earring. Kind of large.
Well, I think this is so cute too. It's so. There.
Well.
This is the craft thing.
No.
It's got Pokeroo on it.
That's right.
You're close. You're close. Do you know what it is, Nina? It is a Cuckoo wristwatch. And you know, they're not very, very difficult to make. I just had that.
Now the crafts had to be at a level where kids could make
That's
these
right. And I
from
mean-
things from home, right?
That's right. And this is so simple. Just look at what he's doing.
A rubber band.
He's got a rubber band and he's got
If you have the cardboard,
just a piece of cardboard.
That's right.
You might get someone to put the numbers on it for you, or you can put little marks on where the numbers should be. I think I've already started here, and I'm marking it down there, so I just add 1, 2, 3, something like that. And then you could maybe put your name on it, or you can.
Well, the guy's doing a good job of blowing away all your leaves.
That on there. And when you've done that, all you have to do is I think you're gonna you take the rubber band. That's right. And you can cut a niche, you see, on either side of the cardboard. That way it'll hold on. You see. So you just put it through.
That's neat.
It's so simple,
Very simple.
Perfect.
but it's effective.
Well, perfect. Not only has he seen
And
it,
they can
but
decorate
when
it
he saw
any way
this
they
one,
want
he was so
to.
happy.
Yep,
You
they
know
can
what he did?
personalize it and make
Sure.
it their own.
Right.
He ordered 12 of these watches, and he was so pleased that he sent along with our joke in the box, which I happen to have here, he sent around a little surprise for us. Yeah. So why don't we open this up? Oh. He gets me every time he does that. I'll give them to you, and you can read what it says there, all right?
Oh, he's got a riddle in his hand? He usually has a riddle. This picture looks perfect as perfect can be, but look at the clocks and see what you see.
Picture? This is what it must be, I guess. Let me open it up. Open up and see what it is.
Nina recently found a picture of her
Whoops.
with the Pokeroo
There it is.
costume on.
It's the
Aw.
old clock
Yeah.
shop. Now this is a game, and why don't you play along with me? Now we find ourselves in the old clock shop. We have here some clocks, so let's look at them. Is there anything wrong with these clocks? Is there anything wrong with the first one? It's a cuckoo clock. Wait a minute. That isn't a cuckoo, is it?
Looks like he grew his fingernails out long to play the guitar.
Right.
No, that is a squirrel clock. I don't think we have too many of them around. Look at the next one. That's a big grandfather clock, like our storytime clock. Remember our rhyme? Hickory, dickory, dock. The elephant ran up the clock. No. There's something wrong with that. Something definitely. That cannot be an elephant. It's a mouse in disguise. But that's what's wrong with that clock. Let's look at the third one. That's an alarm clock.
So when you watch these episodes, Peggy, what other kind of memories come to mind? Do you see something you're like, oh, I remember us doing that, or oh, I remember that you
No.
mentioned this. You mentioned the story. You remembered the story.
Right, I remember the story, yes, and everybody loved it. And it was just about the time, well,
Look at them all.
when, I can't remember when the new City Hall was finished.
Yeah, it had to be around
Right,
around that time.
And everybody was concerned about it, you know, and some people hated it and some people liked it.
Are we going to see more clocks?
We are. And we just looked through the polka dot, one of our polka dots, and we're going to see some other very unusual clocks.
One of the polka dots. There's the door. So these films, because this is one of the early episodes, would these films be the ones that you borrowed from Britain?
We bought them,
Bought them, yeah.
yeah. They had paid for the series, and
What do you mean? Who had paid for?
well, they bought the series. TV Ontario bought this Play School series.
Right, the rights to make their own
That's right,
version.
yes.
Yeah.
So, you know, they had Humpty and Dumpty and
Marigold and Bear.
I'm not sure whether they
Oh,
had
that's right.
Marigold.
Oh, the original. Yeah, you're
Right.
right. You're right.
And then they had the Storytime clock, and so there were a few things that we kept. But then I found that the pace was too slow, particularly with some of the children that we knew in Ontario that had fans of Sesame Street. So I said we need one that goes in between
Mm-hmm.
the quietness and I
It's
thought it was sort of dull, the BBC series and so on. Anyway.
so those films you would have licensed them from the BBC, or you got like a package deal or
I
something.
think we got a package deal.
Yeah.
Ted Coneybear and I went over in February
Many
or
years
March
ago, a
of
long time ago, before people ever heard about clocks, they used to tell
71,
time by
and
the sun. And
This
what they would
this
do,
set design is pretty
make a
wild.
circle,
This is a
Well,
the ground,
it's funny to watch it because I would have grown up watching the episodes
Right,
in
sure.
the 80s.
right.
So it's interesting to see
in
how
the center,
it's the same, but it's
where the
different.
shadow-
You know,
Sure,
the colors
right,
and
yes,
stuff.
Right.
Like these objects here, I don't think I ever saw
No.
those.
they would place a little stone.
And the pink sandbox is a nice little
Here, which I'll turn on,
treat.
But this is cute too. He's showing the.
Can you see the
um,
shadow?
He explained
shadow right
when you were
here
talking that
on the stick?
this is how they used to
Now
tell
where
their time
it crosses
with a
that
sundial,
circle,
and
we'll
so
put a flower right there. Now, as the sun went across the sky, and we'll pretend that our sun is going
He's
across
using,
the sky.
One of your stage lamps
right,
there, Peg.
yes, right,
Oh, isn't that neat?
At a certain
That's
time
right.
of day,
right.
That's good.
he would place another mark.
Now, this is something that Dodie and Pat would have written into the script,
That's right.
and
Yes,
you
yes.
guys as a team would figure out how to make it happen on the screen.
Mhm. Or they
They
might
would
suggest them too.
Place
But
another
we
mark.
always try to use a sandbox. We try to use the things that were
Special
In the
time
world
day.
of preschoolers.
right.
Now
Yes.
Yeah.
go on and go right across that half circle. Now I'll just move the sun.
So this is a
away.
very simple set, probably
Well, I
2 or
think-
3 rooms.
I think that's
Can you see what
important
I've made?
because you need
If you
some
thought it was
simplicity.
a sun clock, you're almost right.
You
It's
don't
a
want
sundial.
things to
And
distract.
it's something
Right.
like the sundial we saw on our Polka Dot Door. And you can make one yourself very easily in your own sandbox.
And they
or
could
in your
become
own
familiar
backyard.
with it too, and
And
Sure.
if you do,
you know,
remember that this is what time is all about. Where the sun is in the sky. Now time is not just a clocks and so on. Time also is the seasons of
It's
the year.
interesting. So far, they haven't had a whole lot of interaction with the toys. The toys are just kind of there. When I watched it, the toys would talk to them, and maybe they do it in other episodes as well.
Why do the birds fly south in the winter?
This would be another one of
Why
Pat's
do
songs.
the birds
Okay.
fly north again in spring? Well, they go where the days are lighter and longer.
So Pat would obviously get with Alex or give him a tape with a demo of it on, and he would learn the song that way.
She'd probably give him music.
Yeah.
Can write the music out.
Why are they green till the summer grows old? Well, the green leaves make food to build a tree stronger. Trees aren't hungry when the weather grows cold. Did you find out the seasons? The 4 seasons? The wintertime, when the birds flew south. The springtime, when the birds came home again to the north. And the summertime, when the leaves were green. And the fall, when the leaves turned red. Did you find out?
So this is Finding Out Day,
Right.
and I know the other one we have is Imagination Day, which
I have a
typically
game that we
Pokeroo
can
comes
play.
out on
That's
Imagination
It's
Day.
called Why Do You Say Time So Many Times All the Time? And I have some pictures here that we can look at. And you see if you can guess what time these are. Does that look
Dinner
like time
time.
to you? Well, you're right. It was breakfast time, lunch time, supper time, and snack time. Which one is your favorite? It's snack time, is it? Well, mine is supper time, I think. And this is a birthday party.
And these are
So it must
almost
be
like
party time. That's always
drawings that a child could make. you know?
Right.
Oh,
So they're
what
very
time is
simple,
this?
but I
This
think
is
they're great
bedtime.
because
When you
they're
get
not
into
too
bed and you
complicated.
sleep and you dream
And would
about
these
good
be
times.
illustrations that you guys found somewhere, or would you have someone that would have drawn them?
Dick would
Durham?
organize
This
this.
is
Yeah.
being
Sure.
on time. That's
He had a
always
good
important.
staff with him too. That he
Yeah.
couldn't possibly do everything. And
Oh, this is fun. This is bath time. Here. Alex,
Yes.
would you like to come in? Because I also have another time called joke time.
Oh, well, I'm always looking forward
Joke
to
in the
that.
box time. I'll take Benny off.
Benny.
And we'll just open our
remember
joke
him at
box.
all.
Let me get prepared.
Benny looks like a little frog.
Are you ready?
Oh. He does it every time.
Oh,
Now, is that something you used
Joke in
often, the Jack in the Box?
has
I
another
guess we
joke
did.
For us, I believe.
At least in this
Read what
episode.
it says.
In his hand. It says, "What is it that has
It's called
face
Joke in the Box.
but no head, hands but no feet, and yet is usually running?" Well, how can he run without feet?
Face but no head.
Has a face but no head.
And hands but no feet. Yes.
Can you guess? You have an idea, do you? Well, I'll read it again. What is it that has a face but no head,
no, they're giving the
Hands,
kids time,
no
the viewer
feet,
time
Mhm.
to
and
think.
yet is usually running?
Mm,
You can see it. It's on you.
it's on you.
Mm-hmm. I've got one.
You've got one. You've got a face.
I've got the answer.
You got. What's the answer?
The answer is on my wrist. It's my watch.
Oh.
Oh, going with the theme of the
Watch
day,
has
of
a
course.
face,
That's
but
right.
has no
Theme of
head.
the week.
Theme of the week,
And
pardon
it
me.
has
Yes.
hands, but it
Yeah.
has no feet. You've got a watch too, don't you?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
So you've
yes.
got the answer to the riddle too. Oh, I was just thinking, we better go and look at our egg timers.
Oh, that's right. That's when we started them at the beginning of our today's playtime, didn't we?
So we're going to go and look at our egg timers right now. Well, Alex, it looks as though our last grain of sand has almost run out.
Sure looks it. You might say the time is running out.
That's right.
It's great how the
It's
theme
time to go.
stays
However,
throughout.
we had
That's
a good
right.
time finding out all about clock 7.
Did you?
Bye-bye.
Bye.
The polka dot door. The
Written by
polka
Pat
dot
Patterson and
door.
Company.
Yeah.
See you soon
Ada
at the
Sherman.
polka dot door for songs and stories and so much more.
Producer Peggy Liptrott, there you are.
There we go.
1971. Isn't that something?
There we are.
That's wonderful. Well, hey, thanks for, again, doing
Oh,
another
awesome.
little one of these little interviews and sharing
Right.
your thoughts as we went through. That was really special to see.
Good.
So,
Good.
wonderful.
I enjoyed watching it too.
As did I. Okay, it's been a long time since we've seen this. This is a 1971, year one episode of Polka Dot Door. This is Imagination Day, possibly one of the first times that we see Polkaroo. So.
And that was on Thursdays.
Thursday
was Imagination Day.
Sweet. And I know you were just commenting on this song and how legendary it's become, really.
Well, it's a very good song.
Songs and stories and so much more. Through the polka dot door.
And this is Dick Derehunch that originated this.
Mm-hmm.
And Ada Sherman was the one who came up with the name Polka Dot Door.
Oh, wow.
So we all loved it. See, the clocks are still there, so they were there for the whole week.
The whole week.
Today we're tick-tocking like clocks. Do you tick-tock like a clock? I'm a big loud one. Tick-tock, 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 tick. You can do it. Sure, go ahead.
And they're wearing different outfits. So it wasn't like they wore the same thing all week.
No.
So that they got a sense of time.
That's a beautiful little tiny clock. Today is Imagination Day. Now, you know, you can imagine anything you like, but just for now, imagine that you're a clock, tick-tocking away, okay? Imagine.
Now, what I like about the host and hostess is that they're not being pretentious.
Yeah, pretentious,
You know,
yeah.
they look as if they're enjoying what they're doing, but not like the crazy clowns that say, "Aren't we having fun now?" Which I couldn't stand. You know,
It's not
they're
fake.
very honest.
Yeah.
And that's right, they're not fake.
That's interesting. This song was used well into the 80s because I remember
Yes.
they would use it. And this was probably Dodie Robb and Pat Patterson that wrote this too, right?
Do you remember our nursery rhyme?
I think this was from the BBC program Play School too.
Okay.
The ran up the clock.
And the mouse goes up the clock.
One. The ran down. Hickory, dickory, dock.
It was a mouse, wasn't it?
It was a mouse. It certainly was.
I know a clock that a mouse doesn't run up when it strikes two. And it's one of these. In fact, it's all three of these. These are cuckoo clocks.
Cuckoo
Let's
clocks.
see what happens when I turn the hands of the clock around. Cuckoo came out of the clock. The clock struck two. Cuckoo, cuckoo. Hickory, dickory, dock. And here's another cuckoo clock. Let's see what happens when I turn the hands of this one. That was a little tiny cuckoo. Did you hear it? I think our cuckoo has a cold. And here's another cuckoo clock.
Yeah, if it doesn't work, you just got to keep on going.
Cuckoo. Can you make that sound? Cuckoo, cuckoo. Alex has a song about a cuckoo for us right now.
It was interesting when we were watching the credits of the last episode. I didn't see any credits for a director or anything like that.
Well, it was producer.
Yeah?
And,
So you were the producer and director.
right, yes. And we followed the BBC idea that producers were directors.
Really? Okay.
It was the states that separated producer and director.
Really?
Right.
So help me understand how those roles are intertwined. What does a producer do? What does
Well,
a
the
director do?
producer used to get the money that went into the program. And with something like this, when you don't have to get the money, I mean the money's there from the corporation, so you're really the producer. But the producer organizes too, and the director actually directs the camera, directs the actors. So it was a dual function really, producing and directing. But we just used the one producer.
Right. So the producer sounds like more of an administrative role, whereas the director's the one actually calling the shots as it's being filmed.
But in Canada, it was interact. I mean,
Let's try that
Both
again.
the same thing,
I'm not sure you
yeah.
got it quite right. Let's hear him do it again, okay? Oh, when I say good day, the cuckoo says, marvelous. I ask him out to play. The cuckoo says, oh, when I
It's
say
clearly
good night,
someone off stage
the
making that
cuckoo
Yeah,
noise.
it's Nina.
Is it?
I
Sure.
ask if he's all right. The cuckoo says, Oh, beautiful. Nighttime, daytime, school or playtime, this funny little bird.
So clearly you would have hired him because, you know, obviously he's great at what he does, but playing the guitar is probably a plus.
Sure, right, yeah, that's very much so.
I didn't hear you. When I say goodbye, the cuckoo says, you did it. I know you did it.
Oh, that's sort of cute.
Yeah.
You know.
Now that we sung a song about a cuckoo, let's go to our storytime clock and see what's happening.
It's interesting to see, like, even back in 1971, you had the regular story time, regular story-time mouse, you know, there were those familiar things that kids could gravitate towards in every show.
And on our mobile, we have a mouse, and we have a little town with a clock in it. And that is our story for today. It's a story about a cuckoo clock, and as you might know, the cuckoo clocks are made in a little country far, far
Switzerland.
away. It's called Switzerland.
Good for you.
Switzerland
Well
is
done.
beautiful. Very,
I
very
must have seen
beautiful.
this episode when I was
Lots of
young.
high, snow-covered mountains and deep green valleys and quiet.
So would there ever be a reason why you'd have to stop taping? Because you were mentioning to me that these were live to tape, and
No. No, we always rehearsed, you see, and then went right through.
so they had it down.
That's right, yes.
So you really couldn't be cracking up or anything like that.
The cuckoo knew what time
No.
it was just by watching
If
out
something
the
like
window.
that happened, why you would
She knew it was
stop,
lunchtime.
but it was
And
very
time
Minimal.
for the cuckoo 12
Right,
times
yes.
when she saw the cows come
And in
down
those
to the
days,
Blue River for a drink
videotaping
of
was
water.
expensive, and so
The cuckoo
we
bird
didn't have a
loved
big
the sound
budget
of
on
their
Polka Dot
cowbells.
Door. So
Right.
Clang, 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 clang. And when she saw the children running down to the river to feed the quacking ducks, she knew that school was over, and it was time to say 4 o'clock like this. Cuckoo! 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 And then at about 6 o'clock, she'd hear the train whistle going. And she knew that it was time for the train to arrive from the big city, bringing the men home for dinner. This is the time when the little cuckoo bird used to dream her favorite dream
Dick
of
Derhage
someday
had
going to visit the big city that was
fantastic
not
staff
too far away
Yeah.
from
in
a
his
quiet
graphic
little
arts
town.
department.
She was sure it must be a wonderful,
So I
exciting
mean, all
place,
of these are from
and she longed to
the
see
graphic
it.
arts department.
Luckily for
One
the
of the
cuckoo
things that
bird,
I had
a
suggested
city
was
friend
that
of
we
hers,
make
Hickory Mouse, happened to be passing through
a
her
book
town one
available
day.
with all the stories.
And when the
and
cuckoo
the
bird
illustrations,
told Hickory
but
Mouse of her dream to pay a visit to the big city, he
I
said,
decided not to do
Well, I'll
that, which
take
I
you to
thought
the
was
city if you
a
like,
very serious
Cuckoo Bird,
mistake
for a
because
visit. There's no trouble
that
at all.
would have
But
been
it's
such
very noisy and busy there, you know.
a good thing for the
I'm not
program.
sure if you'll like
Right.
it.
So this would have been something that parents could have purchased for their kids
That's right.
of the stories that their kids were hearing.
That's right, yes.
Now, were all these stories written in-house or were they
Oh, they were all original stories.
Canadian authors?
You
and-
can imagine
Well, it
the
was
surprise
Pat
she was.
Pat
Patterson,
Patterson
Dodie
and
Rob.
Dodie Rob.
Yes,
I've never
yes.
seen anything go so
It's
fast.
really remarkable.
She
Yes.
said to Hickory Mouse as they sat at
Just
the
a lot
window
of work that went
looking
into
past
a
the
lot
Oh,
of
it
cows
this.
was
and the
fantastic,
horses
and
in
we
the
did
little
the
town.
first.
Pretty soon they could see great
We
big,
did 30
tall
programs
buildings
in
and smokestacks from the window.
4 months,
And
5
Hickory
months.
Mouse
Wow.
told Cuckoo Bird,
So we were
Well,
all just
that's what the big
exhausted by the
city
time we were
looks like.
finished.
Yeah. So the
As
first
soon as they
30,
stepped
so
off
you would
the
have
train
5
onto
each
the
week, so
platform,
5, 10, 15,
Cuckoo
20,
was
25,
almost knocked
30.
over by all
So
the
6
people
weeks of
rushing
episodes.
past
So
her.
that would have made sense because you would have maybe
Why
had
is
some
everyone
with
in
Gordon
such a
Thompson and
hurry?
Nina, and then the others
Yes.
with Alex and
Then
Nina
when they
in
went down
71.
the busy
Right,
streets,
yeah.
she was even more confused. The
I
cars
think
were moving
probably
so
Laura,
fast. The horns
Alex
were
and Nina
honking,
did the
lights
first
flashing
15,
on
and
off,
maybe Nina
brakes
and
squealing.
Gordon.
Gordon
Goodness,
did the
she
second.
said
I
to
don't
Hickory
know.
Mouse.
Yeah.
I can't
hometown,
remember.
Yeah.
People stop and talk to each
Well, I
other.
remember
on the
talking to
streets.
TV Ontario, and I think they may have given you the earliest episodes that they have. I don't know that the
Why is everyone
first
in
couple
such
of
a big
weeks
hurry
still
in the city?
exist. I think that
Maybe
they've
not, who
been
knows?
Hickory Mouse helped the cuckoo hurry
sadly
across the busy
wiped
street
or,
and said,
you know,
Right.
lost or
Never
destroyed, who
enough time in
knows.
the city.
Right.
But I remember asking if the first ever episodes, the pilots existed, and they said no, they're not in existence
The
anymore.
cuckoo bird said, "But I like parks." And Hickory Mouse hurried her on, saying,
Oh, city people seem to like big buildings better. Oh, come on,
He
hurry
does
up.
the voices as well.
And as
Quite
they
a
walked
talented
away from
guy.
the building,
Yes, right.
The cuckoo
Oh, yeah.
clock looked up and saw a big clock high up in a tower. Why, it looked almost as high to her as the snow-covered mountains she could see from her window at home in the quiet little town.
We were talking earlier about Marty
Just as she
Patrick
was
Roberts, and
wondering
you
what it
said
would
she
be
was an
like
educational
to live up
consultant,
so
so she
high
would
in the
make
sky,
sure that
the
everything
big
was kind of
clock
lining
began
up
to
with the
chime.
mandate of the show,
One.
and
That's right.
kids
and
could
They
understand.
would, they would read the scripts before we got on camera with them.
4.
And if they felt something was
It's 5
wrong, then
o'clock.
it would be changed.
Said Hickory
And would
Mouse.
there be those times where they would pipe up and say, hey, they wouldn't quite, kids aren't going to understand this, we need to change
That's when
this?
there are
I
even
don't
more
ever
cars
remember
on the
that,
road,
you know,
and more noise,
because,
and more horns blowing, and more hurrying because everybody has finished work, and they go rushing home in their cars. Now we better
I
hurry
don't
over
know,
to that train station
I think
before the
sometimes I
traffic
never
gets
grew up
really
because
heavy.
I always liked everything that we did,
Right.
you know, and it was, to
When
us,
the
it
train,
was,
as it pulled away from the
and as I
station,
say, I had
and
certain
thump, thump,
principles
thump,
that I
thump, thump, when little
made
Cuckoo's
sure
heart,
were
as
always
she
in
thought
all the
about all
programs,
the
and
excitement.
Tell
the
us a little bit
activity
about
of the
those
big
principles,
city.
because I think those are important, because they carried
She looked
through
out the
the rest
window.
of the history of
She
the
saw
show.
the
right,
big
well, I'm
buildings
glad they did.
disappearing in
Well,
the distance.
the big thing
And
was
soon
not
her
to
old
talk down
friends,
to the
the
children,
cows in the fields began to appear.
and not to
She felt quite happy to be going home to her peaceful little town in
assume
the mountains.
that they couldn't understand
Hickory
things,
Mouse,
Right.
because, you know,
I am
here,
really glad that you took
they
me to see the
listen.
big city.
or
But I
they
think
seem to
that from
listen
now
to say,
on,
all right, now,
I'll be happy to
what
be
do you
just a
think?
common little
You know,
Cuckoo Bird.
and they wait for a little
I
while
like living in my
until
cuckoo
maybe
club, in my quiet
they
town
can,
where
you know.
time seems to
So,
pass
so
by
the kid
more
actually
slowly
feels like
than
they're
the big
interacting
city.
with the
That's right,
program.
that's
Like
right,
before
yeah.
technology and everything,
From that
like we
time
have
on,
computers now where we
every
can
time the
do
cuckoo clock
video
struck
That's
five,
video
right.
conferencing,
Yeah.
but they would
Cuckoo Bird
almost
thought
kind of
about
mimic
the
that
city
idea where
rush
they
hour.
could talk at the TV. And
and
That's
was
right,
very
sure,
happy
right.
to be just where she was.
and the
looking at the
crafts,
ducks drifting
as you
slowly
saw with
down
the Finding
peaceful
Out Day,
river.
they did this cute little
And that's our story
clock.
about the Cuckoo Bird.
that you could
Now that
wristwatch.
we've heard
that
a
you
story
could-
about
And it was always objects you could find around the house, right?
That's right,
Simple
sure.
stuff.
Oh, sure, right.
It's easy.
I just saw the boom mic swimming across
Oh,
there.
did you?
Yeah.
Whole day out, day out.
Missed that.
Let's not flop our feathers and be like, okay? Cuckoo! Cuckoo! You try. Okay? Cuckoo! Cuckoo! Let's look for some food now. Cuckoo! It's cold. You gotta have some food. Cuckoo!
Now he's not being overly silly,
Yeah.
and that's what I like
Piece of
about
bread somebody's thrown
the
away.
performance of
Oh.
anybody doing
Wait a
children's
minute,
shows.
wait a minute. There's some birds looking around. They want that food too. I think I'd better take it.
Yeah, it's an appropriate level for sure.
That's right. Yeah.
Cuckoo!
So cute.
Nina, yeah.
Tell her she's
I
so
know
cute.
someone who is so slow it takes him all day and all night to go, from Sunday to Monday and all week long to get back to Sunday. He never goes wrong, and he never stops. But oh my dear, from birthday to
Now,
birthday, it takes
people
him
listening
all
to
year.
that voice,
And that's
watching
what
this
she's so
video right now, may recognize her because she did the voice of Muffy Mouse on today's
Right.
special,
Yeah.
and I can hear it coming through.
And talk. Poor old slow grandfather clock. It's a grandfather clock I was talking about. It's our storytime clock. Let's look inside. You see that thing going back and forth? That's called the pendulum. Can you say pendulum? The pendulum goes back and forth and tick-tock in time to the tick-tock of the clock. Tick-tock. Let's try and do that along with our pendulum. Tick-tock, 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 tick. I know a song about a grandfather clock.
Gonna hear Nina sing.
My grandfather's clock was too large for the shelf, so it stood 90 years on
Yeah, I
the
definitely hear
floor.
Muffy Mouse when I hear that voice.
Now let's help us. He can be the clock with the pendulum, and we'll sing it together. Okay?
Right.
My grandfather's clock was too large for the shelf, so it stood 90 years on the floor. Oh, it was taller by half than the old man himself, though it weighed not a pennyweight more. It was bought on the morn of the day that he was born, and was always his treasure and pride. But it
Nina
stopped
would get a kick out of this.
never to go again when the old man died.
Yeah, I'm really surprised at how well they hold up. Even the quality of
I
the
know,
film isn't
right,
bad,
yes,
you know,
no.
for being 40 some odd years old.
Right. No, I was surprised too.
Yeah, I would have thought there would have been dirt on the film, and you know, but they've
Short,
videotape, I guess,
never to go
transfers pretty well.
when the old
Well, this was the 2-inch videotape.
Yep.
Too.
Yep, on the 2 big reels, right?
I
That's
think
right.
our clock is stopped, don't you? So I'm going to wind it up. Turn around, clock. There it goes. Now that our clock's all wound up, why don't we go out to the backyard? Come on.
Let's go.
Let's go, TikTok. It's just fun and silly, you know? Oh, look at that.
I'm not sure that these weren't some of Amy's toy cars. I guess. Remember,
Turn around. He's going away.
Wind-up toys are a lot of fun, aren't
no,
they?
I guess not.
This
We
sure
had
are.
did a whole series of
are like clocks. They run
little
down,
cars in
and
the
you have to
sandbox one
wind
time,
them
and they
up.
were all his
That's
cars.
exactly
Oh, really?
Right. Yeah.
That's great. This is your son's?
Yes, it was probably
Whoops.
a week on transportation.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about Marigold, because I'm looking at Marigold right now, and
Right.
Wheels turning inside.
Marigold belonged to you, right?
She was my daughter's ragdoll, right?
A little accident
And
here.
did you just thought that the script? Did you add that to the show, or did it call for a ragdoll and it needed it, and you're like, I have one, let's use mine.
Right. Oh, I think so. Right.
Just
Yeah.
out of necessity.
Well, I said, I've got this cute one, but I'll bring it in, and let you have a look and see what you think of it. So.
And that's
Everybody
the
loved
that
it.
was your daughter's actual doll
That's
being
right.
used. Wow.
And Bear was my son's Pooh Bear.
Really?
And we used it for a while too, so we got our own. And so
So would you bring them home after?
every night they
Yeah.
came home.
Isn't that something? So the original Marigold and Bear belonged to your kids.
Right.
One wheel
Yes.
turning another.
And then I guess Humpty and Dumpty would have been designed based on the ones used in play school.
Yes. Yes.
Even
Yes.
the little birdie's going to stop
And I
singing.
don't know whether Marigold and
I have an idea.
I think Bear was part of the original, but I'm not sure about Marigold.
Right.
Why don't we pretend? Let's just imagine.
I think they had something
that
similar, but the
Bear
names
is a
weren't.
wind-up toy.
All right.
And I'll wind
Weren't
him
the
up
same.
and see what he does.
Okay.
Okay?
He's coming to life.
There he
What's
is.
he gonna do?
Let's see what I put him
Now,
in.
did they put the polka dot tie on Bear?
Bear
Probably.
marches just like a wind-up toy. Oh,
And Chris Aney was the set designer,
Okay.
and
Oh, he started another
he
one.
was very talented.
It's a little lifeless.
he's
He
run
finally became
I'll tell you what,
an
you give
artist,
him
but
to me, and I'll
he was
wind him
with
up.
TV and
I'll
Interior
wind
for
up
a long
Marigold.
time.
all wind
She
up
does.
there.
And is he still with us? Do you know?
No, he died a few years ago.
Hmm. There's your Marigold doll. And what was your daughter's name?
Catherine.
Oh,
Catherine.
Marigold's dancing.
Has Catherine had a chance to see these yet?
No.
Oh, I can't dance. You'll have to wind
She'd
me
probably
up.
get a kick out of that.
All right, you wind me up first.
Her doll is famous.
Oh.
How old are
yes.
your children
Before
now?
you wind me up, would you like to dance? with
50 and
us?
49.
I'll wind you up.
51
okay?
and 49.
Come a little closer and I'll wind you up.
This is great. Again, interacting with the
That's
audience.
right. Yeah.
There.
Okay.
Ready?
We're going to dance.
You're gonna dance.
You
Here we
ready?
go. Here we go. Shall we dance on the bright cloud of music? Shall we fly? Shall we dance on the around and really try?
Sounds like one of them got the words confused there.
I got it, eh? High. And we sing all together as we dance around together on a hop and a skip and a prance. On a clear understanding that we go around together. Shall we dance? Shall we dance? Shall we dance? We unwound.
We're all run down.
Again, it's interesting to see how the set is familiar, but just the color scheme is a little bit different in the 70s.
Right, yeah.
Those
That was fun
yellows.
dancing, wasn't it? It was a little tiring. See if you can guess what I'm going to do. You know what I am? Can you tell? What if I said that was the long minute hand, and that's the short hour hand pointing to the 3, so it's 3 o'clock. Right, I'm a clock. I'm pretending to be a clock. I'm imagining that I'm a clock. Can you do that? Put this arm way up, and that's the long minute hand. This arm, you make a little bit shorter, tuck it in, and that's the short hour hand at 3 o'clock. Now, when the long minute hand starts to go around,
You You guys must have had a lot of fun
Oh, we
directing
did.
these
Right.
and
We
producing
All the way
these.
around the clock, right back.
Sounded like you had a great staff and team to work
Yeah.
with.
Short our hand is now.
We had a wonderful
It's pointing to the floor. I'm all
Irish
tired out.
studio
Did
director.
you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you
And I
try
remember,
it?
Tom, we got near the end of the 30 episodes, and somebody said, you know, Marigold needs a facelift or
Well, 4
something.
o'clock. Nap time's over, and it's time
And
to
Johnny,
play.
I remember,
So
said
if we
through
look
the
to a
talk
polka
back,
dot right now, we're going to see some
Suffering
children
from
playing.
the-
Oh, take a rest.
suffering from the tragedy of psoriasis, because that was a commercial that everybody watched.
Oh, at the time. Wow.
But once again, just the piano. There's no crazy chatter
Right.
saying, "Oh, look at the children! They're skipping and they're playing ball." And
It allows the kids to think for themselves
that's
as
right,
they watch
and they
this.
know what they're doing. They don't have to be told.
And remind me again, you licensed these films. You guys borrowed a lot from Play School, so it was licensed.
Yes, we chose. Ed Coney Bear and I chose films that were appropriate for Ontario children.
From the BBC.
Yes.
So these films would have originated from the
Yes,
BBC.
yes. I think some of them were. Some of them we had to film.
Right.
But, and
Well, I can even tell from the houses in the background that this is probably London.
Yes.
It's very gentle.
And we don't have many of those things.
No,
In
I
Canada.
don't think they're safe anymore.
No.
We're looking. I don't even know how you describe that. We're looking at
Well, it
a
was
playground
type of,
right now.
It was a type of roundabout,
Yeah.
you know. But I mean, you could fall off that so easily. And this was a little safer, but that even then, you see, you have to jump on.
Yeah, I remember those when I was a kid. We had those.
Probably
in
haven't
Canada.
got those anymore, Travis.
No, I think they've
Too
deemed them
dangerous.
unsafe.
Right.
They were a lot of fun though.
I'm sure they were.
Yeah, that definitely looks like the
England,
types of houses.
right,
It looks
yeah.
like England. Very interesting. Yeah, it's interesting how many concepts were borrowed from Play School, but at the same time, you guys did a really good job at making it genuinely Canadian.
Well, we thought so.
Yeah. Teeter-totter or a seesaw.
Hmm.
And these, of course, are all things that would be familiar to kids as well.
Sure. Right.
They're part of their world.
And they don't have to be told what it is. They know.
Right.
This is what I meant. Or
Just the piano. You don't
that's
need
right.
any of that chatter.
Right. One of the weeks I remember was on houses,
Mm-hmm.
and it was in the summer, and so
And so when you get
I
wound
was
up,
having
you
a
sit upside down.
tree
Is that
house,
right,
or
Dante?
what I called an untree house made
Well,
for
let's
Eddie for his
right
birthday,
side up again.
Okay.
and so
Pardon?
we watched
looking
it
at
built.
what in the sandbox?
We filmed it being built.
Okay.
All of us look
And
in the
then
sandbox and
He
see
brought
what
his
he's
friends in
looking
at the
okay?
very end, and there was a ladder that you had to climb up, and then there was a little deck, a little house at the end of the deck.
Oh,
It was
neat.
in the
It's a
garden.
big circle,
So that was
middle
part of the housing script.
That's neat.
And there
Kids
are
are always
flowers
fascinated
on
by
the
like
inside
tree
of
houses
the
and things.
Yeah. Well, we didn't have any
And
big
one
trees in the
right in the
backyard,
center.
but I always felt that boys needed
Can you
tree
guess what
houses.
it is?
So
Yeah.
this was an untree house.
Can you imagine what it is? It's a flower clock. Because each one of these flowers is
So it's
a number on
Imagination
the face
Day,
of
and I
the
know we're
That's
getting
right.
towards the end, so we're probably going to see an appearance
Each one of
from
these numbers will
Pokeroo.
be
Never
here.
know.
And the one in the center.
And Nina was telling me in these early
Hold
days,
the-
even the woman would get in the
Oh, wait a
costume.
minute.
Of course, they always did.
Wait a
Yeah.
minute. Something's
Oh.
missing.
There it is.
There he
There's
is,
something missing. Do you know what's missing? Can you guess what's missing?
he's peeking from behind the fence.
The hands of the clock. Of course. Now, I wonder where we could find hands on for the clock. We would need couple of sticks.
Look at that
So,
costume, much different than the one used
Yes,
later on.
right.
I'll look over the fence here. No, nothing over here.
And Pokeroo looks a little shorter, probably because
Nothing
That's
Nina's
right.
in it.
That's right. Yes.
We have a very clean backyard. We can't find any sticks anywhere. Look in the hole here. And it's, Did you do that? Who did that? I guess nobody did that. I guess it was my imagination. Funny imagination, though. Well, let's see. No twigs, no sticks, or nothing here. And Pokeroo! Pokeroo, what are you? Was that you just now? Oh no! Wait a minute. I'm sorry I didn't see you, but tell me, I really can't believe that you're here. Are you sure you're just not part of my imagination? You?
It's interesting, Pokeroo's
No,
not
I'm
talking
going to pinch you, Pokeroo.
in these
No,
early
I
It
episodes.
doesn't.
believe that you're
It never
here.
does.
Oh.
Later on, he used to say, Pokeroo,
Thank you very
Pokeroo.
much.
Oh yeah, but
Let's
that's
go
all
over
he's ever said.
Right.
Pokeroo.
Let's see if they fit. So I'm putting one over here, like
I
that.
could see Nina holding the mask on so
Right.
it stays on her.
There. And we'll make it.
It wasn't the most comfortable costume. It was hot.
Yeah, I bet.
Now our flower clock is perfect.
We had a party for Dodie Rob
What are
one
you
time,
laughing at, Pokeroo?
and
What?
we wanted to have the
Oh, I
Pokeroo.
see.
and we couldn't get anybody.
You're not really funny right now, but we
So
have to laugh right now. We want
I
to
was the
joke, right?
Pokeroo.
You went into the
I
Pokeroo
went
costume,
there,
and
yeah.
it looked like that when you went into
No,
it?
no, it was
Where
quite
is the
different.
joke in the box?
Wow.
And,
This is
Oh, it's here somewhere.
would have been after you had done Polka Dot Door. You came back for the party.
I think so. Yeah. Yes.
No,
Well, the
it's not
costume
here,
had
but,
morphed since then into
Right.
something a little bit different.
Oh, wait a minute.
And
Every time I get close to you, the
I remember it was
sound gets
hot
louder.
backstage, and I took
Do you
the
have the joke in the box?
head off, and I was
Let's look
drinking a
inside
beer
the
out of a
box.
bottle, and somebody came by and they said, "The
You had it all
Pokeroo."
the
Drinking
time.
beer.
All the time. Did you know you had it all the time?
Now this is something that I don't remember from the 80s. This joke in the box.
Right.
This
Well,
must have been something you guys used often
There it is.
because it was in the other episode as well that we
Yeah.
watched together.
Yes.
I wonder what the note says this time.
I can see Nina's
Oh,
face
it
through the
says
little
we need
drape
a
thing.
clock.
Can
We need a clock for this one. Have you got a clock, Pokeroo? Have you got a clock?
What do you think it was about the
Can I
Pokeroo
get
that
you
the
a
kids
clock?
fell in love with?
Can you get a clock?
Well, it was just a crazy thing.
Oh.
You know, I mean,
Can
it's
I
made
help
up
you?
of so many different animals.
Like a kangaroo and a.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
There is the
And
clock.
it was just
all
a
right.
silly. I mean, this was
Hold the
this was
clock.
Dodie's wonderful imagination.
I'll
Right.
tell you what.
She really did.
Now.
So, and I mean,
When the clock sounds like this, what
and
time?
you see the Pokeroo, sort of like the Polka Dot
You're
Door.
right.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean,
One
Thematic.
It was
O'clock. 1
just
o'clock. Very good.
wonderful.
Now, when the sound is like this, what time is it?
Now it's interesting because in the later episodes that I remember as a kid, Pokeroo would have been saying Pokeroo by now. There you
You're
go.
right. It's 3 o'clock. It's 3 o'clock.
There
now,
she goes.
What time is it when the clock sounds like this? It's
Dear.
time to get it fixed.
The polka dot door, the polka dot door. See you soon at the polka dot door for songs and stories and so much more.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Wow. So is that episode seemed to end abruptly? Is that how it happened every week, or is it?
No, it always. Well, there was always the ending. You know, but going back, it always opened with the Polka Dot Door and ended with the
Polka Dot Door.
Yes.
Interesting.
Right.
Very, very cool. Well, thanks again for walking down memory lane with us,
Oh.
Peggy. That's amazing.
I enjoyed it very much.
I enjoyed it too.